Hi everyone and welcome to Take It Easy. And today I'm your host Hidayah, and today we were talking about one of the most exciting innovation of our time, Starlink, a satellite internet service by SpaceX. Imagine having internet access on the remote island or deep in the mountain. That's what Starlink provides. Starlink is a satellite internet constellation project developed by the SpaceX, a private aerospace company founded by Elon Musk. Unlike traditional internet that use a cable, Starlink uses a network of thousands of the small satellites at the low Earth orbit to bring internet signal directly to the user's terminal on the ground. I'm joined today by our four amazing panelists, SAFA, ASYRAF, Aisyah, and AMMAR. Each of them will help us to unpack this from different angles, from how it started and how it's changing the world. So let's dive in. So Safa, let's start from the beginning. Where did the idea for Starlink come from?
Everything started with Elon Musk's decision to support SpaceX Mars mission. He thought that establishing a satellite internet company could assist fund that goal. And so Starlink was born. They developed a whole new strategy using low Earth orbit satellites, which fly enormously closer to Earth and provide quicker, low latency internet, rather than merely utilizing already existing technology. They have used their Falcon 9 rockets to launch more than 6,000 satellites since 2019. There are now over 6,750 Starlink satellites currently in orbit.
Wow, that's a mind-blowing number. Most companies just rent the satellite, but they just built their own satellite and launched them to space.
Yes, exactly. Now here is a real-world example. In rural Alaska, Starlink has made connectivity easier. Entire towns that were previously reliant on infrequently radio transmission can now access healthcare, education, and employment online. That is an invention with real-world users. At first, they said that the Starlink signal wasn't flawless. As more users battle for bandwidth, it loses strength. However, as SpaceX has expanded the system with satellites, it has also become faster and more stable.
Wow, that's quite a rough start for a Starlink. Before they are becoming a multi-millionaire company that has launched their technology to space. So now, shall we move on to the next segment, which is technology, strategy, and transformation. So, Ashraf, how did SpaceX go from launching rocket to transforming the digital world?
They got their strategy. Their strategy was all about using existing string. So they had the rockets and they can cut costs by launching their own satellites. So then they focus on underserved marketplace, regular internet. Also, they have a tech evolve. They use base array on antennas, auto tracking dishes, and now they are developing direct-to-device services. Starlink is also transforming SpaceX identity, and they are now doing such a combination of space tech and telecom hybrid. To be specific, by advancing satellite tech and moving towards such a direct-to-device services, SpaceX evolved into a hybrid of space exploration and global telecommunication.
Wow, that's a quite old strategy, and they're not stopping, right? I read they just starting on their cruise ship and airplanes.
Yeah, Delta Airlines tested Starlink's on flights, and Royal Caribbean, they started offering it to provide high-speed internet on flights and cruise ships. It is a new revenue stream and provide that Starlink works on extreme environments. This not only opens a new revenue stream for SpaceX, but also strengthens Starlink's credibility as a global connectivity solution.
Wow, that's quite an impressive strategy that has launched by SpaceX to develop their strategies on the monetary and development on Starlink. So with all these strategies, they mustly have gained some worth and net for the Starlink. So let's move on to the next segment, which is the business and conversation part. So Aisha, let's talk money. How is Starlink turning all this tech into a real
The business model is quite smart. To use Starlink, user must purchase around $599 for a satellite dish and around $120 for the service each month. It may seem pricey, but it really worth the money for people who didn't have any way to access the internet. Other than that, Starlink also has a different package for different needs, such as they introduced Starlink Business for Company and Starlink Mobility for vehicles like cars and boats. Other than that, they also collaborate with government, like in Ukraine, where they provide free internet during the Russian invasion. Their strategy in business is really flexible and impactful.
So they cover personal use, businesses, and even emergency situation.
Yeah, you are correct. For example, Starlink is being used by farmers in Australia to control Internet of Things device that can monitor animals and soil conditions. Before this, they didn't have any internet connection in those remote areas. So this Starlink isn't just bringing in the internet, it brings a new possibilities.
So we can say that Starlink is quite pricey, but it's worth it as it can reach people from all over the world within a quite short of time. So let's move on to the next segment, which is the challenge and global barriers. Of course, every company must have their challenge to overcome. So how does Starlink does it? So Amma, we know that tech is impressive, but what kind of challenge does Starlink face?
First, space is getting crowded. Starlink put up many satellites. If too many satellites are there, they might crash. Crashes will create junk that float in space, which can hurt other satellites. Second, every country have a different rules. Starlink needs permission to work everywhere, but some countries say no or make it hard, like India and China have denied or delayed the permission due to security concerns. They might worry about the safety or who control the internet.
Oh, I see the issue there. So Starlink is not so perfect, but they must be addressing the issue as they go, right?
Definitely, and in Mexico, where some regions are mountainous and hard to reach, Starlink is giving indigenous communities access to digital education. These are big wins despite the obstacles.
That's quite a lot of challenge that faced by SpaceX. So moving on to the next segment, this is the real world impact. So in this segment, I'm going to ask all the panelists about their opinion on how can Starlink impact the change in real world. So any standout example?
Firstly, did you know that in the Philippines, after a typhoon destroyed internet infrastructure, Starlink helped the reconnect region faster than traditional companies could?
But don't forget, in South Africa, schools in rural areas are using Starlink to connect classrooms to global educational content. It's leveling up their playing field. So basically, they are using Starlink to access a high-speed internet, enabling students to tap into global educational resources and bridging the digital divide between urban and remote areas.
Yeah, and do you know in Ukraine, when their network were attacked during the war, Starlink had government officials and emergency teams stay connected. It became a lifeline when everything else was down.
And even in the Amazon rainforest, small villages are getting online for the first time, which help with health, education, and even tourism.
Wow, that's quite a lot of examples. This is proof that Starlink is not only helping people all around the world, but also have emerging the technology in their digitalizing their life. So moving on to the next segment, which is what's next to Starlink. So where do you guys think that Starlink is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
I believe in the future they will provide phone service straight from satellites to device without the need for towers. Just by imagining it gives me goosebumps.
For me,
It will probably expand into a mobile 5G and become a global backup internet during a crisis or natural disaster to ensuring connectivity when traditional ways never fail.
Yeah, and I expect the price will drop as more people start using it and technology become cheaper.
I believe that it could dominate internet for remote places and things that move like ships, planes, and faraway research stations.
Alright, so we have finally come to the last session. Yes, let's close up the final talk. What's one lesson that you have learned from Starlink?
One thing that I learned from them is that big dreams are one thing, but the true strength lies in actually constructing them. I mean, just look at how big they have become.
In my opinion, by using the existing strengths in new ways can lead to game-changing results. We can look at how powerful Starlink is. But for example, how they are repurposing existing strength, like rocket technology. By doing this, it can lead to possibilities for creating far-reaching global impact.
Yeah. To me, the biggest lesson that I learned is technology alone isn't enough. We need a good plan to make it useful for people. And this study has shown that how technology can really change life when it done right.
What inspires me is how they show that using your existing strengths in totally new ways can lead to a game-changing result. They had rocket and they use them to change the internet.
I love all of this insight. Starlink isn't just about satellite, it's about people, possibilities, and progress. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you for listening to Take It Easy. Don't break your brain, let us break it for you. So catch you all next time.